Welcome to Deep Sea Catch, where the ocean hides secrets darker than you can imagine. Tonight, we're diving straight into the deadliest waters on Earth, the Bering Sea. Temperatures crash below zero, waves tower higher than buildings, and one wrong step can erase a man forever. Yet here, a single catch of king crab can be worth millions, but what's the real price behind that luxury plate on your table? Blood, fear, and survival. Stay with us, because what you're about to see will change the way you look at seafood forever. Out here, in the heart of the Bering Sea, winter doesn't just arrive, it attacks. The air cuts like knives, temperatures plunge to -20, and waves rise higher than city buildings. Every gust of wind is a frozen fist slamming against steel, testing every boat, every seam, every man on board. The ocean doesn't care who you are. Out here, even the strongest men feel small. A lone fishing vessel creaks and groans as it claws its way across the black water. Its lights flicker in the snow, swallowed by the storm. On deck, a handful of men brace against the wind, fighting to keep their footing on ice-glazed steel. Each breath burns their lungs, each movement feels heavier than the last. They know one truth better than anyone: the sea takes what it wants. This isn't just fishing. It's survival. The crew risks everything, not for glory, not for fame, but for the chance at a payday that could change their lives. $3 million worth of king crab hides below the waves. But the ocean guards its treasure with fury. Every pot dropped, every rope pulled, every second on deck could be the last. One mistake, one slip on the ice, one cable snapping under pressure, and a man disappears forever into the dark. Still, they push forward. Why? Because for these fishermen, this isn't just a job, it's a way of life. They've grown up watching their fathers and grandfathers battle these same waters. The sea is in their blood, and the crab, these armored giants of the deep, are their only reward for enduring the pain, the frostbite, the fear. But here's the question: is any of it truly worth it? Would you gamble your life for money pulled from the sea? Would you stand on this deck, staring into the storm, knowing every shift could be your last? Somewhere below, in the icy black, millions of dollars crawl across the seabed, waiting to be caught, and above, men with nothing left to lose chase after them. Their stories are written not in ink, but in scars and saltwater. Tonight, we take you inside their world, inside the brutal truth behind every plate of king crab that lands on a luxury table, because behind the price tag lies a human cost, sweat, blood, and sometimes life itself. So the question isn't just, would you pay $500 for a plate of king crab? The real question is, would you still eat it if you knew the true cost was a piece of someone's life? Beneath the freezing surface of the Bering Sea lives a creature unlike any other. Armored, powerful, and elusive, the king crab. To the world, it's a delicacy, a luxury. But to fishermen, it's survival. And to understand why they risk their lives for these giants, you need to know just how rare, just how extra a king crab can live up to 30 years, wandering the seafloor like a slow-moving relic of another age. But it takes 4 to 5 years just to reach maturity, 4 long years of surviving predators, currents, and the crushing cold of the deep. Even then, not all are allowed to be harvested. Regulations are strict, designed to protect a fragile population. Only males of legal size, with shells wider than 6.5 inches, can be taken. Females, no matter how large, are returned to the sea because they carry the future of the species under their bellies. Thousands of eggs, clinging like beads of life, waiting months to hatch. If the cycle is broken, the fishery collapses, and with it, entire coastal communities would crumble. Every summer, something miraculous happens. Tens of thousands of crabs migrate in vast, living armies. They march together, moving from the dark depths into shallow waters to spawn. The seabed becomes a battlefield of claws and shells, an endless tide of red and gold. And when winter comes, they retreat again, sinking back into the abyss, using their incredible sense of touch and smell to hunt for starfish, mollusks, and the decaying remains of the ocean. It is in this cycle of migration, this narrow window of opportunity, that fishermen take their chance. They set their heavy steel pots, baited with herring, and lower them hundreds of feet into the cold black. Down there, where temperatures stay locked between 33 and 39 degrees year-round, the crabs gather. Each pot is a gamble. Will it return bursting with treasure, or rise empty from the void? Their rarity is what makes them so valuable. Their slow growth is what makes every harvest a fight against time. And their extreme habitat, the storms, the darkness, the bone-chilling cold, is what makes every season a life or death struggle between man and nature. This isn't like catching shrimp or cod. This is different. Each king crab pulled from the deep is a victory carved out of the sea itself. A prize so coveted that restaurants in Tokyo, Seoul, and New York will pay hundreds of dollars for a single plate. A prize so dangerous to obtain that men call this fishery the deadliest in the world. So the next time you see king crab on ice, gleaming under supermarket lights, or plated with elegance in a 5-star restaurant, remember this: it's not just seafood, it's survival, it's legacy. And it's the result of a cycle as fragile as the lives of the men who chase it. The storm hasn't passed. Out here, the Bering Sea never truly calms, it only pauses, waiting to strike again. On a 98-foot vessel rocking like a toy in the swells, the real battle begins, not in the captain's wheelhouse, but on the deck, where steel meets ice and men meet fate. Captain Bill, 63 years old, stands watch from the frost-covered cabin. His face is carved by decades of storms, eyes narrowed and hardened, carrying the weight of over 40 crab seasons. He's seen men vanish in seconds, swallowed by waves or struck down by snapping cables. To him, survival isn't luck, it's discipline. It's respect for the ocean that shows no mercy. On the deck below, a rookie grips the steel rope for the very first time. He's just 22. His gloves are stiff with ice, his breath clouds in the frigid air, and his hands tremble not just from the cold, but from fear. Fear of slipping, fear of failing, fear of becoming another name lost to the sea. The deck beneath his boots is slick, glazed with ice, every step a risk. Around him, veterans move with rhythm, hardened by years of repetition. For them, this is another day in hell. For him, it's initiation by fire and ice. The crane screeches as a pot, 660 pounds of steel swings overhead. Its cage is packed with herring bait, ready to sink into the darkness. The cables twist like silver snakes under dim yellow floodlights, snapping taut with violent force. Every man knows if that cable breaks, it could cut through a body like paper. With a sharp command, the pot drops. The splash is swallowed instantly by the roaring sea. Down it goes, sinking hundreds of feet into a world of silence and shadows. Now, the waiting begins. Hours pass, and with them, the storm builds. Snow pelts their faces, ice creeps across every surface, and still, the work doesn't stop. Then the GPS pings. It's time. Time to haul up the first pot. All eyes turn to the starboard side. Hearts pound as the winch strains, pulling the heavy cage from the black abyss. Every man on deck holds his breath. If it's heavy, there's hope. If it's light, disappointment. The first pot breaks the surface. The cage rattles against the hull. Inside, red shells flash under the light's king crab. Relief spreads across the crew, but only for a moment. There are still dozens more pots to haul, and each one is a gamble. Each one could be a jackpot worth $12,000 or nothing but empty steel. On deck, time loses meaning. Hands go numb, backs ache, and yet the rhythm continues. Pot after pot, rope after rope, the men move like clockwork. This isn't just labor, it's a life or death dance. One mistake, one slip, and the sea will claim its due. This is the battle on deck. Brutal, relentless, and unforgiving. Out here, survival isn't guaranteed, it's earned, one pot at a time. The first pot crashes onto the deck, dripping seawater, steel groaning under its own weight. All around, floodlights cut through the snow, casting long shadows across the men. This is the moment of truth. Not every crab is a prize, and every second wasted could cost them dearly. Gloved hands reach into the writhing mass of claws and shells. Each king crab is lifted, inspected, judged. The rules are clear, and there's no room for error. The shell must measure at least 6.5 inches across. It must be male strong, intact, with no broken claws or cracked shells. A single flaw drops its market value. A single mistake could mean a fine, or worse, the collapse of a fragile population. The crew works fast. Crabs that meet the standard are rushed into tanks filled with seawater chilled to match the deep ocean 34 degrees, cold enough to shock the body back into calm. The violent journey from the seafloor to the surface is brutal, and without care, the crabs would die before ever reaching port. Every splash into the holding tank is a victory. Every rejected crab is tossed back into the stormy sea, given a second chance at life. But the work is endless. Pot after pot slams against the deck, each one demanding inspection. Fingers stiff with cold struggle with calipers, measuring shells under flickering light. The wind howls, snow stings their eyes, yet the process never stops. For the men, this isn't just about filling tanks, it's about racing against time. Because out here, storms move fast. Radar blares from the wheelhouse, a warning of another system closing in. The barometric pressure drops. The sea grows restless, and the deck tilts harder with every swell. Captain Bill shouts orders, his voice raw from years of storms. He knows hesitation is the enemy. Every wasted moment could be the one that costs a man his life. The tanks begin to fill, hundreds of crabs clinging to each other in the cold, dark water. Each one is worth hundreds of dollars. Each one is a ticket to survival for the crew, for their families, for the entire fishing season. But the tanks can only hold so much, and the men must keep the crabs alive, stable, and strong until they reach shore. On this deck, the stakes are higher than money. Every crab inspected, every rope pulled, every wave endured is a reminder of the razor-thin line between fortune and disaster. For the fishermen, this is not a luxury, it is life. And as the storm builds once again, they know the hardest part is still to come. After days at sea, battling storms and ice, the vessel finally limps toward the shoreline. The port is shrouded in gray dawn, gulls circling overhead, their cries sharp against the cold air. For the crew, swollen hands rest against steel railings, exhaustion etched into every line of their faces. They've survived another trip, but the journey of the king crab has only just begun. As soon as the ropes hit the dock, time becomes a weapon. The crabs must move fast from deck to processing plants before stress or exhaustion robs them of their value. Workers rush aboard, lifting tanks filled with living treasure. Each crab is carried like currency, worth hundreds of dollars apiece, and their survival means the difference between fortune and loss. At the freezing plants, the process is relentless. The temperature plummets to 40 below, a cold chain designed not just to chill, but to lock in perfection. Here, every minute, every degree matters. A single delay can ruin the meat, stripping away weeks of brutal labor in seconds. The crabs are sorted, scanned, and tagged with QR codes. Each code carries a story, coordinates of where they were caught, the time they left the sea, the vessel that risked it all to bring them in. This digital fingerprint follows them across the world, ensuring chefs in Tokyo or New York know exactly where their luxury came from. Those that survive the journey alive are kept in icy tanks, awaiting shipment to international buyers. Those that falter, too weak to make it, are not wasted. Instead, they are sent down processing lines that run day and night, where teams of workers move with mechanical precision. The method is simple but merciless. Crabs are boiled quickly at just above 200 degrees, hot enough to preserve sweetness without drying the delicate flesh. Within minutes, they are plunged into brine or chilled with deep frozen air, locking in moisture and structure. It is a race against time, a symphony of steel, steam, and salt water. The meat is then hand-picked under bright lights. Every leg snapped at the joint, every fiber of meat pulled out whole. Technique matters, one wrong move and the grade drops, lowering the price. The finest pieces, flawless and white, are vacuum sealed on conveyor belts, then flash frozen at -22 degrees. Within minutes, the journey from storm-tossed deck to pristine package is complete. From here, the crabs travel the globe. Cargo planes and refrigerated containers carry them thousands of miles to Tokyo, fish markets, Seoul restaurants, New York warehouses,